Okay, I think we're ready to go. Good evening. Thank you all for being here this evening. So welcome to those that are online and to those that are in our audience tonight for our City Council meeting. We have a tradition here at the City of Nampa, and that is that we open in prayer. And I so appreciate Pastor Jim Halbert from Crossroads opening us in prayer this evening, and then we'll follow up with the pledge afterwards. So come on forward, and thank you so much for being here.
Mayor Kling, distinguished council members, members of the community, it's an honor for me tonight to pray. I want to say be confident and courageous because the wisdom of God is given to those who seek it. God cares about this city's success. He cares about the city's success even with those who don't care about God. In fact, Jeremiah 29:7 reminds us that when Israel was in a very difficult place, Babylon, God said to them, "Seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I've carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you too will prosper." And if God can do that through people who don't recognize him, just imagine what he could do through those who do. In 1954, Congress added "Under God" to our pledge. In 1864, "In God We Trust," our motto, was added to our coins. And George Washington himself added to his inaugural oath, "So help me God." We have a long tradition of acknowledging God and praying for his guidance. So let's pray. Almighty God, maker of heaven and earth, you have given mankind the heavy and yet awesome responsibility of multiplying, filling, and governing the earth. Romans reminds us that the governing authorities that exist have been established by you and that they will flourish when they acknowledge you. You, Father, have revealed yourself completely in your Son Jesus, and he has clearly taught and demonstrated that you love this world and care about each one of us. And one way you do that is through fair governance. So we seek you, your wisdom, your guidance. Give these leaders insight beyond their education and experience, and help them help the city to flourish for your glory. As your people, the Israelites, prayed in the morning and evening, and still to this day, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God, the Lord is alone, the only one. We pray knowing that you alone are God and the giver of all good things." So we ask for your wisdom and blessing in order that you may be glorified in and through us. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we ask these things. Amen. Let's salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Pastor Halbert, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. So the next item on the agenda is roll call.
Rodriguez? Here. Werner? Machi? Here. Levi?
Present.
Haverfield? Here. Bauer? Here.
So proposed amendments to the agenda. There was an amended, updated alcohol renewal list on the agenda tonight. We do have a public hearing that will be continued, and it's item 6.1 on the agenda, but we will do that at that time when we get to that agenda. Is there anything else that council is aware of? Any amendments to the agenda? See none?
Ma'am,
Yes.
I would move that we accept the agenda as stated.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Werner?
Yes.
Machi?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
And Levi?
Yes.
So we do have a couple of proclamations this evening. And the first proclamation that we have this evening is, Hope Day in Nampa. And I believe we have some young men and women from the Boys and Girls Club with us this evening. And is Shelley Bonds here? Oh, there. Hi, Shelley. I missed you with the mask. So I'm going to read the proclamation, then I would love to have you guys come forward afterwards. So, whereas adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, such as abuse, neglect, and serious household dysfunction, or other events that cause trauma in children, can have lifelong impacts on physical and mental health. And whereas studies have shown that people who experience multiple ACEs are more profoundly impacted. And whereas Idahoans have experienced 4 or more ACEs at a higher rate than much of the broader United States. And whereas positive childhood experiences, such as forming strong relationships with a trusted adult, experiencing belonging, and building coping skills to deal with stress in a healthy way, have been proven to counter the impact of ACEs. And whereas these experiences promote healthy outcomes from positive experiences and hope, and whereas Idahoans have shared value in ensuring the physical and mental health and well-being of our children, whereas May is Mental Health Awareness Month, now therefore I, Debbie Kling, Mayor of the City of Nampa, Idaho, do hereby proclaim May 21, 2021 as Hope Day in Nampa. And I do hereby encourage all citizens to promote hope within our community. Thank you. Come on forward and I'll give you this. And we got a photo earlier. So Shelley, thank you so much. And then would you like to speak to us? Shelley, thank you.
Good evening. Pretty excited tonight to be able to speak to you about hope and about resiliency. We in Idaho have been hearing a lot about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, and I think the thing that stands out most when you're working with kids is that they don't exclude a socioeconomic status. Any human, adult or child of any socioeconomic status can have ACEs, and we know that the higher the ACE level, the harder it is as you get older if you don't have someone that you know trusts you and makes you feel like you matter. We have been leaning heavily into this work. We've been doing morning meetings in our schools. We've been talking about how to cope with stress. We've been talking about how to have civil discourse. We've been talking about all the ways that kids know that where they are is where they belong. The Boys and Girls Club is an enormous partner. They build resiliency in our kids every day. We know that to be resilient, we can mitigate. The higher your resiliency score is, there's something called the Devereux resiliency scale. The higher your scale is on resiliency, the less chances any ACE has to impact you in the long haul. And so this is an exciting day for our kids. We encourage you to come out. We're flying kites on Friday at all of our elementary schools. And we encourage you, you guys are welcome. We would be happy to hook you up. It's a great day. So with that, thank you.
Shelley, thank you so much. Boys and Girls Club, hi, how are you guys? Would you like to come up and share your name? Would it be okay if they stood up and shared? In fact, all of you guys, go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you don't mind.
Mayor, what time is the kite flying?
What time is kite flying?
It will vary, and we can get you invites.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Riley. I'm the program director at the Boys and Girls Club. And we brought 2 club members with us today, and they'll introduce their names real quick.
Hi, my name is Cameron.
Carolyn?
Cameron.
Cameron. Awesome.
What's your name?
Hi, my name is Madison.
Hi, Madison. It's so great to have you guys.
Hi, my name is Martha, and I'm the site coordinator.
Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you. And I think they're going to pass these out to you guys and invite you guys to come to the schools and fly on.
Mary Kling. I'm really excited to have these guys here, and thank you for the proclamation. We've been working on this through with a lot of community partners because hope does live here. You've seen the mural in downtown Nampa, and this is betting and declaring that when the conditions are just right, a kite will soar, and when the conditions are just right, thank you, Cameron, when the conditions are just right in our community, our kids soar. And HOPE stands for Healthy Outcomes from Positive Experiences, and they really are counter ACEs. So again, these are not predictive. When we have people who believe in our kids, and we look at people like Madison and Cameron, and I ask them, what does hope mean to you? And they said, we don't know. It's hard to explain. But they have hope. and that each one of these kids knows that somebody in this community cares about them, and more than one, right? You're at the Boys and Girls Club and you're in the Nampa School District, two great places to be. So we're inviting, the mayor's going to be at Central Elementary at 1 o'clock on Friday. And I know some of you have children or maybe a daughter-in-law at a particular school or grandchildren who might be in a school. We're encouraging you to reach out to Shelley. She's the executive director of elementary for the school district. And go fly a kite with these kids and just remind them that they matter and they're adults all over this community who are going to invest in you and make sure that you have the brightest future full of hope. So thank you very much.
Mayor, I
Yes.
think Friday's a pretty big day for the Boys and Girls Club because there's a golf scramble in the morning. And Denim and Diamonds, I think, is the gala in the evening. And flying kites in between. You've got a full day.
The gala's June 2nd.
Oh, the following?
The 4th. The 4th.
Oh,
It's the 4th.
sorry.
But it's every day is a big day at the club.
I also want to specifically thank, Jean, thank you for your work with 2C Kids Succeed and for making this happen and for the vision, because hope is important. So, and thank you guys for all your work and for making a difference in lives. Thank you.
Did you guys give Senator Lipke one too?
Did he got one? Okay, good.
Okay. Tell him he's got to go fly a kite. And then if there's extras in your little pile there, maybe hand them out to people here. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Finance Director, Mr. Racine, may want one sitting right up here at the end. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Father's stepping out, and I think Tom Points is here, who's our Director of Public Works. This is National Public Works Week. And I so appreciate our team and the work that is done in our city and the responsibility, Tom, that you carry and the work that you do and all the divisions underneath you. But I'm going to read a proclamation because this is Public Works Week. So whereas Public Works professionals, and I'm going to pause. My mic feels like it's going in and out, is it? I'm not sure what to do differently, so I apologize. So it's just, yeah, we'll try it, but I think it keeps just going in and out. So whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities, and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Nampa. Whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals who are engineers, managers, employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Nampa to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. Whereas the city of Nampa is the largest full-service city in the state of Idaho. And whereas the year 2021 marks the 61st annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, I, Debbie Kling, Mayor of the City of Nampa, do hereby proclaim May 16 through 22 of 2021 as National Public Works Week, and I urge our citizens to join with representatives and the city in various activities and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, the engineers, the managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. And so, Tom, why don't you come forward, and anyone else that from Public Works that is here. I see Clemente back there, too. Come on up, Clemente. Come on, guys. Tom, I'll hand this to you. Talk to us for a second.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor, for recognizing and Council Public Works Week. We really appreciate recognizing Public Works and the work we do and the support of Mayor and Council through all our projects and our programs. But really, it's all about the team. I mean, I'm just one person here helping out, and it's really about the team and everyone here and everyone out in the field doing the work. So I just really appreciate them. And I have a staff report that I'll talk some more about Public Works and some of the things we're doing when we get to the staff report. But anyway, here's the crew that helps make the work happen. So I really appreciate them.
There's a lot of work that needs to happen. We appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tom. While we're doing acknowledgements, I would like to move to the next item. I'd like to do an acknowledgement of some of our Mayor's Teen Council members that are going to be graduating. And I'm trying to think, Rick or Amy, who do we have here from Mayor's Teen Council? Because there you guys are. It's like I saw somebody come in and, okay. So I don't see Adrian here. I see Braden and Cassandra. So I do have a folder for you guys, but I just want to pause for a minute and acknowledge our Mayor's Teen Council. So we have a number of graduates this year, and they have been an amazing team. It's been fun to watch you guys, to spend time with you. I trust you've had a really good year, and it's exciting to see the growth in a year and then to see you guys launch out into life. And so I just want to say thank you for participating, and then I'll have these letters for the other guys here, but I'll give these to you. Would either of you like to say anything? Like, tell us where you're headed. Yes? Go ahead, Braden.
Hello. Been here, I guess, a few times, so I hope at least I'm a little familiar to some of you. I'm Braden. I'm looking forward to attending college in Washington, D.C. at American University, in no small part due to Mayor's Teen Council and the opportunities that have been provided to me. So for that, I'm very thankful, Mayor. And for any opportunity I can to help give back to this amazing community. So thank you.
We've so enjoyed Braden. He interned last summer in the mayor's office, and he's actually working in the clerk's office currently. And, Braden, you are hungry to learn, and I love that passion and the willingness that you've put forward, and I just trust that that'll continue through your life and your career, and I look forward to seeing where you land.
Thank you very much.
Pretty cool. Sandra.
She's good.
Okay, so come on up, and I'll give you your letters. And it's amazing how fast a year goes. We blink and it's gone. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the opportunity where Nampa residents wishing to speak on an agenda or non-agenda item have the opportunity, they have 3 minutes and the opportunity to do so. And I think we have a few people with us this evening. So first person that we have signed up is Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Nicole, go ahead and say your full name and give your address, and then thank you for joining us and what you're here to talk about.
Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Perrine. I live here in South Nampa, 9110 Owyhee Drive, Nampa, Idaho, 83686. Been a resident here for 4 years. I'm a children's book author. I write children's chapter books that are all set in the fictional town of Vespa, Idaho. And I also happen to serve on the board of directors with these lovely people over here. And I'm coming today because we got a situation. We've got a huge, wonderful market this year. We've got over 90 vendors. And it's been a great year for the Nampa Farmers Market. We are seeing record highs we've never seen before. And a lot of that is because we have some amazing quality people at our market serving and working there. Recently, we had a person in the community come out, and he calls himself a street preacher. And I'm not one to say, it's not okay to say, hey, you can't preach the gospel. But this man is not preaching the gospel. He actually took a bullhorn and verbally attacked all of our customers, calling them pedophiles, calling them lewd names, saying he is the anus police. Now, my children also run a booth at the Nampa Farmers Market. They are recipients of the John Relk Memorial Scholarship. They sell produce and soap carving kits there. And they're locked in for the summer. This is their home economics class, essentially. And you know what? They can't escape this man's voice. I am on the opposite part of the quad with my children in our booths, running our businesses, and we can't escape him when he is on that bullhorn. We get exposed to words and things that my children should not be exposed to, and they have no way to escape as being vendors. They're committed to their time there. They're recipients of a scholarship, and yet they cannot leave. We don't want to diminish freedom of speech. I'm all for freedom of speech. I'm all for the gospel being preached. The gospel is offensive in its own right. You do not have to add offensive things to make it worse. I'm asking that the board here considers setting something in place where if somebody has a bullhorn, that they have to get approval from the city. I don't think it's right for our customers and our patrons and our vendors to be where they are in such an uncomfortable position that they can't run their businesses. We chose this market because we love this town. We love the community here. It is family friendly. It is God honoring. We want to continue this. Freedom of speech is great until it messes with my customer base. Children are my customer base that cannot be ruined. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We all grew up with that, right? The reality is words do hurt. And you talk about these children that have been exposed to horrible things. I protect my children. They are the reason I do anything. They are my life. I don't want them exposed to things like this, and it's going to cause business to go. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you for taking this seriously.
Yes. Go ahead. Nicole, hang on just a second.
Yes.
I have a question. So the farmer's market has the permit to be there on Saturdays, and so I don't know if Darren can answer this or what. What is allowed or not allowed? Are they allowed to address that situation under their permit?
This is with the assumption, and I would, that this person is interacting with the farmer's market, but is not a member of the farmer's market, has not paid any.
That's correct. He
dues to
spends time in
participate.
our freedom of speech circle.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, Mayor, this is the first time I've heard about this issue, so maybe that was just this last Saturday
That
or
was 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
And actually, we
but-
sent it over to the police department to provide their response, and then I think they worked a little bit with legal, but I think we
Okay.
didn't give it maybe to you,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, they do have, the farmer's market does have it leased out. I would have to do some research on how to handle that situation.
Okay, and we'll have legal.
Thank you.
Can you do? And I have to say, Nicole, thank you for participating on the board. And Nicole has children's books, and they're awesome, and we bought every single one that she had, and she has a new one coming out. And thank you for participating. We have a great farmers market, and Bob, you're going to come forward, but it's because of the work that you guys have put forth. To
It's
see
an
the-
amazing place, and we love this town. We want to be a part of this community. We want to thrive here. I don't want to go to Boise. Are you kidding me? No, we're here because we want to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bob Wagner, you're next. And I'll go ahead and let you state your name and address and everything. But thank you so much for coming tonight.
My name is Bob Wagner. I'm the president of the board of the Nampa Farmers Market. The address is 8729 Deer Flat Road in Nampa. And I'm here to talk to you about the same thing Nicole just did. I've had some great conversations with our police department, with the chief of police, with several lieutenants and sergeants, and it was brought to my attention that there's actually nothing that can be done about this street preacher with his bullhorn because of freedom of speech, and there's no current city ordinance prohibiting a bullhorn except if it's used in a vehicle. So I would like to ask you to consider changing the ordinance so that somebody that is using a bullhorn, and like Nicole said, he's at the front by the what we call the big building in Lloyd Square. I'm a clear across, I'm next to Nicole from this, where this guy was, and I had trouble communicating with my customers. And I heard it from several of my customers that they didn't really want to be over there. We have vendors over there because of the things this guy was saying, and she alluded to some of those. I sent each one of you an email outlining everything that has happened. Now, he picks and chooses different places in the community to go. 2 weeks ago, I know he was at NNU's graduation. Last Saturday, he wasn't there because I think he was at the Parade America. But I anticipate he'll be there again Saturday. And we call the police every week when he shows up, but the only thing they can do is suggest he moves. He says he's on a public sidewalk, so he has every right to be there, but he is literally disturbing the entire farmer's market. We have customers leave because of the things he says. We had a children's group doing a dance demonstration while he was talking about things that children shouldn't have to listen to. So I would I'm pleading with you to be able to do something so that we can, not have this happen.
Thank you for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. And your mustard is wonderful. So I'm just going to say, yes, the best mustard around. And
thank you very much.
Thank you for your leadership with the farmers market.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. I think maybe we have followed up with legal on this matter, and so I think maybe outside of this, we'll have a discussion regarding legal and what they can do and can't do, because Brad, I think I'm seeing from Brad, he wasn't the one that was there. Chief Huff was taking the lead in some of this communication. I believe that that's who Bob has talked to and who's had some of that communication. Unless legal would like to make comment.
Madam Mayor, I think I looked at it briefly, but it wasn't, I don't think I was the main one on it.
Okay.
The ordinance does talk about exactly what the gentleman said. The bullhorn, as it currently is in code, needs to be attached to a vehicle. Otherwise, the disturbance, there's hours that apply. I think it's 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. as far as disturbing the peace by tumultuous noise, those kind of things. But we can look at an ordinance that fits with the First Amendment as directed by council and the mayor.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I would recommend that we actually do a review and talk about it. Use of the bullhorn. Yes.
If I could address this just for a moment. I know when Bob sent out the email, I was pretty vocal about it. And I said, look, you can't hide behind the freedom of speech when you're imposing on other people's rights. That doesn't work. When you're imposing on children rights, hearing vulgar language, that's even worse. So I believe that this gentleman is disturbing our peace and our businesses who want to go and have a good time at the farmer's market. We cannot allow this person to use and abuse our community by his own wishes of what he's saying and propaganda that he's using. And I don't agree with the prosecuting attorney saying that there's nothing we can do. I don't agree with the Nampa Police Department. For the first time ever, I don't agree with them. We have to do something. He's interfering with businesses. So we've got to do something now. This is unacceptable. And to allow a gentleman to interfere with our families having a good time and businesses who depend on that money is inappropriate. We've got to do something now, Mayor.
And just for clarity, Chief Huff usually will go to the Canyon County Prosecuting Attorney for a ruling. Chief Huff actually encouraged Bob Wagner to come forward tonight so that we could do something. And then there has been the reach out regarding the ordinance change. So we will follow up on that. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands it isn't that the police doesn't want to do anything. They're governed by the law. And so they're careful, but I appreciate the fact that they've encouraged you to come tonight so we can move forward and take action. So it's taken a little bit, but I think we can get it addressed.
If this gentleman is disturbing somebody's peace, that's a violation. Period. Isn't that right, Brad? As I heard, it was a violation if you disturb someone's peace and well-being. Right. Why aren't we doing something with that? That's my question. Not right now, Brad, but later. Okay.
Well, I think the first step was to go to our Canyon County Prosecuting Attorney, which is what they did. And so, yep.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, the next person that we have is Heather Sessions. And Heather, since you're with the farmer's market, remind me what you sell, because I must not have bought it yet.
No, we were in between having a new market manager. And so I was working as a market manager when you came and visited. I am now as a vendor, I'm a produce vendor.
Oh,
So
awesome.
when you come get some vegetables and flowers from me. But my name is Heather Sessions. I live at 6981 Baseline Road in Melba, Idaho. I do business in Nampa. That is my concern here today. I think you have gotten the gist of maybe why we have come today and letting you know a little bit about our concerns. I am in charge of, my board assignment is to assign our musicians that come each week. And as Bob had explained, we had invited a youth group of cloggers to come. And when our street preacher decided that he got really loud with his megaphone, and it was rather descriptive and quite indecent as we were having a soloist perform. I have a young daughter that I bring as a vendor. I don't expose her to the information that this gentleman is broadcasting. And I appreciate you mentioning that it is disturbing. It is meant to be disturbing. It's my belief that he is intending to be offensive with his remarks. So that's probably my addition, is just letting you know about that. There is one other, as we have, as we're working with the vendors that are the customers that are coming in, we'll ask them where they're from, and so many of them are transplants. I know that our valley is just booming, and a lot of them are coming. This is their first, they have just barely moved, and their first activity is to come to the Nampa Farmers Market. And we work really hard in order to broadcast exactly how wonderful Nampa is and how welcoming it is. And this gentleman that we are having problems with is broadcasting exactly the wrong message. So any help and guidance that you have on how we can handle that situation is very appreciated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to say this is the kind of process that we need, and I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate your approach. I appreciate how respectful you've been with it, and that you can get action because we're going to listen. And so thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry you had to spend your evening, but we really appreciate it because it's important for council for all of us to get to meet you guys. So thank you. Thank you for coming this evening. Quick question for council. Does an ordinance require a public hearing? Would this require a public hearing, or is this something we can write and go ahead and get on an agenda if we so choose to?
Thanks for the green light. Madam Mayor, just regular ordinance process doesn't require a public hearing. You can always have one to get input if you'd like, but just regularly putting it on like a standard ordinance change.
Okay. So with that, we'll probably have you just work on one and bring it forward, and then the council will have the opportunity to vote whether they choose to or not. And go ahead.
Yes, happy to do that, Madam Mayor. And I think it is important that we still coordinate with the prosecutor.
Yes.
As they would be the ones handling any prosecution if somebody was cited for that violation.
Thank you. That's exactly right. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. You don't have to sit here all evening, so if you get up and go, it's okay. Yeah, I'll leave that up to you. So the next item on the agenda this evening are mayor and council comments. And yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. You are welcome to come forward. So I usually say, is there anyone that had intended to sign up that forgot to? And I forgot to say that. So go ahead and come forward. And as everybody else, share your name. And thank you
so much. I did forget to sign up. My name is Marcia Yapa, and I live on 4th Street at 1403. And I have two things to talk about in my 3 minutes. The first one is to invite you all to the Nampa Art Guild's annual spring show, which is being held in the library. Library's all open again, and that's where we get to have our shows now. This week up until next week from now, show will come down on Wednesday. So I'd also like to tell you how concerned I am, along with all of you, about property taxes. Property taxes terrify me. I don't work anymore. I live on the house that I bought and paid cash for, luckily. But, property taxes can run you out of your own home. And so I do have an idea. And I would like to give you all permission to raise sales taxes, because I know money has to come from somewhere. And so here's my idea. How about a 1% excise tax on all these things that nobody really needs? How about candy and cookies, fried chips, etc., soda pop, tattoos, fast food restaurants, maybe all restaurants, cocktails, liquor, beer and wine, cigarettes, etc., and tattoos, bowling, skiing, amusement parks. Now, we don't have an amusement park here, But you'd have to join together with the other cities in the valley, I'm sure, to implement this. Mani-pedi salons, women's cosmetics, that's a huge, industry. And then did I mention tattoo parlors? I would say a 10% tax on them would be appropriate. And 1% on $100 would be only $1. Who would even notice that? But 1% of a $300,000 home is $3,000. And you've already paid a tax when you bought your home. So I don't think we should have to keep paying every year on our home. That is the least fair and just tax in my mind. But every time you buy something, that makes sense to pay a little tax to the city. So I think this is the way to go myself, and I'm just giving you permission to do it.
I love your ideas, Marcia.
Well, thank you so much for listening.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for reminding us of the Nampa Art Guild.
Yes.
Showing at the library. So I will have to say that unfortunately, the taxing authority comes from the state. And so local municipalities are not allowed to impose a tax within the city. Now, other states do allow that.
Oh.
And it's called a local option tax. And we've asked for the authority, but the state hasn't granted that to us, so we don't have that option.
Oh, I was worried about that.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we're not allowed to.
So could we wait until next session of the legislature to bring it up?
Well, we could certainly advocate, and we have in years past for a local option tax to allow cities to exercise a local option tax on sales, certain sales items to help fund specific projects. But it hasn't gone anywhere yet. So we could certainly try.
Okay, well, thank you so much for thinking about all this.
I love the idea, though. Thank you.
Marcia, what are the dates for the arts?
Well, it started today, and it'll run through next week. I think it's the 20th week. If the show comes down on Wednesday next week.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the date.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else that had intended to testify tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will move to Mayor and Council comments and to Rick Hogaboam, Chief of Staff, for legislative updates. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, good evening. I think tattoo tax to fund a new jail, that might be an idea. Anyhow, I appreciate good ideas outside the box. So, well, Mayor, Council, just a brief report on House Bill 389 that was signed by the governor last week. You met early Friday morning to discuss the fiscal impact. Mayor asked that I just kind of call our neighbors and see what's going on in the community, just how other cities are digesting the information, the new normal of the reality of House Bill 389. So I want to just provide a brief update. The city of Caldwell tonight is contemplating a moratorium that would apply to, I want to be clear, residential construction through annexation. An emergency moratorium is temporary, so their moratorium would be temporary in nature. Talked to Mayor Steers in CUNA. They say they're exploring all of their options right now. I think they had close to 14% growth, new construction in this last year, and they say that this new bill, there's just no way you can fund 14% of your population if you're only taking half or close to half, 8%. Of that, and once you hit that 8% cap, it makes no sense to let new growth come in and not add a penny to the budget capacity while you still have to provide the services for them. I spoke with Mayor Pierce in Eagle. He actually was just getting off the phone with their legal counsel to discuss what options might be. Obviously, Mayor Pierce is also frustrated with House Bill 389. And Eagle is also going to explore what sort of steps that they have to take. Meridian is having a workshop tomorrow where they're going to explore what their next steps are going to be in light of the new bill initially. Not necessarily a moratorium, but maybe taking a more case-by-case critical analysis of the potential growth that's before them. But their workshop is tomorrow. No more. Talked to Mayor Chadwick up in Star, and he also was consulting with his legal counsel this afternoon, and so you see a common theme here. And in exploring, and he said it was okay to mention this publicly, that they're exploring putting a freeze on annexations for potentially 6 months, and then looking to cap what sort of permits that they would be able to then issue beyond that, because again, it makes no sense to take on the obligation of citizens when you can't add their taxes to the budget once you hit that hard cap. So of course, STAR has grown a lot. He also said that they would probably look at their zoning in the meantime, basically their land use map, and consider lightening the density potentially. And again, exploring legal options of what could even be done right now about, zoning, where you could do three to four in an acre, and the preference I think he has is for less, because he just says there's just no way you can grow at the percentage they're growing and provide the services. So that's just kind of a common theme among the Valley, I think, this next week, and we'll see more how cities try to digest the information. I know certainly we have as well. So I think the mayor did call a meeting this afternoon with consultant from Galena Consulting, and so I think the mayor's going to make reference to this. And I printed this out, so there's a copy of this letter from Ozzie the consultant. So I will defer to the mayor to kind of bring you up to speed on what happened this afternoon.
Thank you. Rick, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I really appreciate the calls and being up to date on that. So, yes. Rick?
Can I ask Rick any questions just quickly?
Yes, you may.
So as far as in your conversations with our neighbors,
Yeah.
were they looking to restrict annexations of enclave parcels, or just boundary expansions?
It's a good question. We didn't speak in that level of specificity. I know some have made distinctions between residential and commercial, but that specific question, I did not ask that specifically. So I don't know if they would make a distinction between an enclave infill project as opposed to annexation, sprawl in the impact zone. So
It'd be worth the effort to ask that question, because it's already in a service area. So if we can basically annex an enclave parcel, that's smart growth. But primarily, are they only looking at housing as far as restrictions?
housing, and the distinction wasn't made with some that just said new growth. And I think they're going to have to dialogue with their council. So the sense I got is the mayors probably weren't wanting to get too in front of an issue that they're just freshly consulting legal and or having the same conversations with their councils. Mayor Evans, I know in Garden City, for example, he said just a 5% cap on new growth to allow the 3% capacity to provide for just cost of living increase. But I think he said to prioritize certain projected growth that they would prefer as a council. So I think that the emerging theme here is if you can only take so much in, how do you want to grow and where do you draw the line and how do you create the rules? And how do you determine when you're at that line and stop? And what kind of growth do you want to fill that 5% bucket with? Do you want one big industry or do you want a bunch of multifamily houses? Or so I think those are the conversations that they weren't speaking with specificity yet, but you can start to see things start to merge where they're having these conversations about preference.
Mayor, if I can ask one more question then. When we consider the potential of a slowdown in approvals of what is truly a driver in our economy, when we're making that type of a decision, we're actually hurting our local businesses as well, because they depend on the construction industry for sales, for bank loans, across the gamut of things. So I think it's important as a council, we consider the impact not only in the construction industry, but also those that are, it's not self-servicing from my part, but the reality behind it is it affects a lot of businesses that depend on the construction industry for their incomes. It's not just about taxation, and it's not just about the growth things, but it's about healthy communities. So the smart growth approach, I think, is really going to be important that we consider. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, that tension, just quickly, you can sense in these conversations. I think people are feeling that tension. You realize that there are probably 7.7 degrees and more of connection whenever there's development, and the economic impact's enormous in the region. At the same time, you hear like a Mayor Steers struggle with how do I hire police to serve the subdivisions once you hit sort of a cutoff line where I can't even collect more revenue. So I think those are the difficult decisions that are being made across the valley. So
That's why I think
Thank you.
the enclave issue is something that really should be discussed.
So my commitment, we had a meeting, for those of you that weren't here, we had a meeting on Friday morning to discuss this particular issue. My commitment to council was that we would go back to Galena Consulting, which is Ozzy, and look at numbers. So we had a meeting today, and I asked Ozzy if he would please communicate to us. I'm going to read the letter. You each have it in front of you. And it says, its subject is recent changes to property tax legislation. So last week, the city contacted Galena Consulting with a request to assist in a fiscal impact of several annexation and new development projects that are in the public hearing agenda for this evening. Normally, the city would have used the fiscal impact study tool in its possession to evaluate these projects. Unfortunately, property tax legislation recently enacted has made evaluating the impact of future projects much more difficult. Had the council reviewed these annexation requests prior to learning of the new legislation, the projects all would have fallen into the generally favorable category and would have had a positive economic impact to the city. Dramatic changes to the law have shifted the financial makeup of annexations and new construction and may place these projects into a questionable or even possibly negative fiscal impact arena. In order to make an informed decision, Galena recommends that the City Council continue consideration of any annexation applications until the model can be updated to reflect the new legislation, at which time a more definitive conclusion about the economic impact can be determined. And then I want to reference another letter that I believe you each were handed, and this is from Hayden Holmes. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but I will say there was a very good point in this second paragraph that says, a reaction would be to place a moratorium on growth, stifling the housing industry, limiting construction jobs, hurting Nampa businesses that supply goods and services, et cetera. A response would be to continue to allow smart growth and projects that build the city's inventory of relatively affordable quality housing while continuing to work with the legislators on the unintended consequences of the bill. So the decision that's going to be before the council is going to be weighing the fiscal impact. Certain development may not fiscally fall within the positive category, but may be very important to quality of life so that people do have affordable homes. The percentage of those homes that we can afford to buy, to build, to still run the city, to provide the services, we need to seriously weigh all of that. But I will say, so during this mayor council comment time, we cannot vote on anything, we cannot make decisions. But I would like for the council, in the next 5 minutes before we step into public hearings, to consider whether or not you want to continue on the annexations and the decisions that we have before us, if you want to continue these discussions to a date certain, giving us time to weigh the impact of the development. I think a couple, in talking to Rodney Ashby, he's had some that thought that might be a really good idea. I'll just be blunt, because they would hate to see something denied that could be a really positive just because we don't have the information. And so that is a consideration that the council can give thought to. If the council would like to continue a public hearing to date certain, which at this time I would suggest it be, right now you could say June 7th. My recommendation to council is that we do, as we are doing next week, we have a special city council meeting on the 24th. We have some items on the agenda that are going to actually be added. And I'll say this right now, next Monday night we have a special council meeting, and it's on a judicial matter, which is not a typical city council agenda item. However, I will be adding to the agenda a report from Ozzy to give us the information we need. That will give him a week to formulate it, to make sure it's accurate. He's working with Finance Director Doug Racine, and Doug is working very closely with the county. We need to make sure that the numbers that we put into the modeling are accurate, because if you have inaccurate assumptions, you're going to end up with an inaccurate outcome. So we need some time to go through that process. Ozzie is brilliant when it comes to numbers, and so he will provide the council with a report next Monday evening. If we were to continue any public hearings from tonight, what we would not want to do is put them at the end of the list in July. It would be better to possibly hold a special council meeting the second week of June, which is not a regular council night, to possibly get caught up on those items. But that's something we would have to consider. So I'm not positive how to manage the date certain tonight. Todd, do you have any? We were talking about this, but I don't remember the outcome, because it was so fast right before the meeting.
Madam Mayor and council members, if you get to that point on the public hearings, you would need to pick a date certain to not have to renotice again. If you don't pick a date certain, then you'd have to go through your notice process. So that's, optimally, you'd pick a date certain this evening, whatever those various hearings may be if you're looking at continuing.
Thank you. So I don't know if anybody else has this opportunity, but the second Monday in June is the 14th of June, and that would be, depending on what we do tonight and how many we move forward. If we choose only to move 1 or 2 forward, we could put them on June 7th. But I believe June 7th has how many public hearings? We already have 4. Do we have 5? Currently? Okay. So if we chose to add 1 or 2 more to that night, it'd be a very, very late night. Or we could just opt to go with June 14th, which is the following Monday night, and hold a special council meeting to address the public hearing items. So I might suggest that council members, if you have your calendar with you, you might take a look at that and give that some consideration. So are there any other comments from council during this mayor-council comment time?
Mayor, so what I'm hearing, I was going to ask the question, but I think you answered it as far as, so Ozzie should have, and working with Doug and county and so on, should have an answer for us as far as this model a week from tonight?
He won't have an answer, but he will have a model that provides the best information we can with the information we have, which is all we can do. Because the one thing that, let's put it this way, the legislature said, take a stab at it when it came to looking at the levies. And someone else said, make your best guess. Well, the thing that we're learning is that the actual numbers, we will not have them until August. What date is that? August 2nd or 3rd?
The fourth Monday in July.
Fourth Monday, okay, in July. That's when we will know what our true numbers are. But our budget hearings are July 12th and 13th. So I will say the other agenda item, council, that we will have next Monday night, we are going to have an agenda item to discuss your approach to budgeting based on the information we have. Because with the language that we're dealing with your best guess and take a stab, we're going to have to be trying to figure out what our budget is with that. So we're going to have a discussion next Monday night about that, and we'll have that discussion after the Ozzie discussion, and so that we can make some decisions on how to budget as we move forward. But we'll do it next Monday evening.
Mayor, I know we're not making decisions, but you know I'm not one to just take a stab. So until we get some facts and figures, I will be asking for a delay. If it needs to be a date certain for these public hearings, I think for these folks, that's very, very important. But yeah, I'm not taking a stab on the budget.
Well, yeah, as mentioned, I'll just say this one thing. As mentioned a few minutes ago, we won't take any motions right now, but we will need someone during the public hearing on each item to make a motion to continue to date certain. Thank you. Councilman Haverfield?
Just a quick question for clarity. So by next Monday or the following Monday, we should have a value for the service study for each of the homes as far as what value we should be trying to achieve or not?
We will have we will be able to say whether or not the specific project covers the cost of the city servicing that project. The exact valuation, and Rodney, you're welcome to answer this instead of me, but we've had considerable discussion on this. As Rodney has said, there isn't anyone that can give an exact valuation. That's impossible. The valuation doesn't come out until after the assessor does their work, which is long after we've approved the projects. In fact, and this is the thing that Ozzie brought forward, was that when we're annexing in a project, you're looking at estimated values. That project may or may not get built for, it could be a year. We have some projects that are several years out. Then you'll know at the time it's assessed, after it's occupied, then you'll know the value of that property and how it will be assessed, but also the cost of services could be higher. And so they're not going to go down in the next 2 to 3 years. It could go up. So you really don't know. When you're putting a limit on, you just don't know. And so that's what most of the cities are dealing with. Our growth has not been at that 8% level. It was this year because of one large project, but as we move forward, it could be. And with the fire district moving separately, our new 8% is lower than it used to be. And so there is no absolute. So just so everyone knows that, there's no absolute.
I'm not looking for an absolute number. I'm looking for a general range of what residential growth should be to be able to, so the cost of service study is defined for us. The value of homes today, we talked about this on Friday, they're just skyrocketing because of demand. But to follow up with Councilman Bruner's thoughts, I'm not going to go down the path of trying to be the leader in making a decision. I think it's important that we listen and dialogue with our neighbors to kind of get a gauge of what the valley is looking to do. It's like being the first guy on the wave. You can wash out quick, or you can ride the wave in with the cool kids and make sure you do it right. So I think it's important that we get good, sound advice from our legal counsel based upon the sound advice of other legal counsels for the other regulatory agencies. I think it's really going to be good for us to listen before we make a decision, because words mean things. And when we make comments, we need to be careful of what we say. So that's my thought.
Well, go ahead. I just want to echo as well, we take our roles really seriously, and we err on the side of conservative fiscal principles. And you heard tonight from a resident who owns her home, there's the real risk of people getting taxed out of those homes that they've worked their whole lives to have. And I feel like it would be an egregious error at this point to not better understand the full implication and impact on our residents. This bill deserved more than 3 days, just plain and simple. And so I wouldn't stop here. Those of you who are here, if we have to continue, reach out to your legislators still. This was a bad bill. And now it's and you're going to hear this from municipality after municipality. We have to make hard decisions, and it's been lobbied back to us. And I would say right now from my seat, it's not fair. It's not fair to those who need homes, and it's not fair to those who need to stay in their homes. It's not fair to our developers and our real estate agents and our builders. We need to keep people employed, and we need to keep people in homes. This bill does none of that. So please reach out to them and let them know if you are dissatisfied as well. And I appreciate our mayor being willing to kind of pick up the mantle on this and speak out. This is not the fire district's fault. The timing of this is what it was. We haven't been able to build a fire station in 13 years. That does not protect life and property. We have responsibilities and a balancing act, and a three-day bill, to me, is egregious. There was a lot of time wasted on other things that were nonsense, and this one deserved a lot more consideration.
Mayor Glean.
Yes.
Thank you. I also share my concerns with this bill, as stated by Mayor Glean and Randy and Jean and Darrell. One thing that I do wish is that when we had a meeting Friday, I asked our Stephen Onofre from Canyon County. I said, do you think that Canyon County commissioners can put a cap on our appraisal values of our homes? That would help us. The answer was no. So then I think about another issue, since the legislators are not paying attention to us. What about if you want to build a new home, if developers want to build new homes, then build your home, but leave my appraisal value alone. And that also was the deaf ears. So anytime you turn around, it's profit geared. That's where it's at. If you have a 300 house subdivision, and you sell it for 400,000, that's $120 million in taxes. And you know that your property taxes is helping businesses because the businesses got it deferred. Also did agricultural. That's who we're paying for. And that's not right. I don't understand why we can't change things when you know that's in the wrong direction. I don't want to have our houses raised because of government and because developers are making millions and we're not. We got to do something. So I stand with this council in agreement that I do not like this bill, and I'm very appalled that it was passed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. I do want to just clarify, and I'm sure you intended this, but Canyon County, the reason they said no is because they do not have the authority.
Right.
Right, and I knew that you knew that, but I just thought I'd make sure people didn't think that Canyon County, they fully agree with us, and it's very challenging, and it's very unfortunate that everybody's going to be mad at the assessor, especially when you get your new assessments. So it is a state statute, and beyond that, it's a constitutional amendment. It's not just a state statute. In our Constitution, it states, and legal, I'll let you correct me if I'm stating it incorrectly, but that the assessed value is to match the market value. That is not an easy fix because it is a constitutional amendment that's required, but that's where we are today. And so the ask would be that we need to address, if possible, our Constitution, because with those assessed values going up, it's really made a considerable difference because they've gone so high. The challenge is if we were to stop growth, it's like, when a pendulum swings, you could do as much damage on the other side. And so this is something that we need to take like a X-Acto knife and be very careful with. It's not something that you do broad brush strokes and just say, and that's what, candidly, that's what our legislature did. And so we need to be very careful. And I think what I do appreciate about our council is that we're not going to make a reactive decision, but we're going to weigh it, we're going to research it, and then we're going to come forward and try to make wise decisions for our community. Our citizens have said growth needs to fund growth. And that's truly what needs to happen. The downside with this bill, aside from valuations of homes or anything else, if you have a 10% or 12% new growth, or even 8%, if you go over, you have no tax revenue to cover the cost of the growth. So if you allow growth to continue, but you don't have the tax revenue to support the growth, whether it be public safety or just the general cost of services, then you've got to do something about that. So that's what we've got to weigh. So I appreciate the discussion here, and it's very complex. We've had a lot of hours talking through this, trying to make wise, well-informed decisions, and I believe that we will. We just need a little bit more time to talk. So are there any other comments at this time? Okay, so, whoops, it is 6:38, and it is time for us to move into our public hearings. And so our first public hearing they have asked that we continue public hearing 1 to 6:21. So I'm going to open this. This is item 6.1 on the agenda. It's an annexation and zoning to RS6, which is single-family residential. This is approval for the Chase subdivision. And this is off of Middleton Road. And this is for 113 single-family lots and 13 common lots for Schultz Development. and they have asked that it be continued to 6/21. So I would like to officially open this item so that the public hearing is open. And then I would ask for a motion to continue this to date certain of 6/21. And Todd, did I do that correctly? Or incorrectly? Would you suggest I change it?
Madam Mayor, if their request is to continue it, probably wouldn't have opened the public hearing.
You don't have to open it?
You take it up on the agenda, but you're okay. We're not, as long as it's clear, there's not going to be any public testimony, we're continuing it.
Well, we won't close it if we open it. My understanding is we need to open it, otherwise we have to repost it.
So Mayor, this,
Rodney?
Mayor, this one was already continued from a previous
That's
meeting.
right.
And so the
Okay.
public hearing is already open.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So all we need is a motion to continue this to date certain of 6/21/21.
Mayor, I'll make the
I move that we continue the public hearing for case number ANN 190-20 for the Chase subdivision to date certain of 6/21/21.
second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Brunner,
Yes.
Mucci,
Yes.
Haverfield,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Levi.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6.2 on the agenda is an action item. This is a development agreement modification to modify the concept plan and ordinance number 3528, Exhibit B, from 3 commercial buildings and associated parking to a concept plan for single-family townhome residential for Sterling Commons subdivision. This is in a neighborhood business zoning district for 50 buildable townhome lots and 8 common lots on 4.82 acres for a 10.37 gross lot density. And this is also a reduction in the 25-foot landscape strip buffer to 15 feet. This is located at 905 South Middleton Road. And this is for Bonnie Layton, representing Sterling Land Development. Is the applicant with us this evening?
Mayor, I need clarification. So are we at all entertaining these to move to a date certain on the rest of these public hearings, or are we going to be hearing full testimony tonight?
We would not hear full testimony, but I think, and so we hadn't really discussed this, but Rodney, as you're standing there, why don't you, I'll let you guide us.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I'd recommend we handle this the same way. There is a mistake on this one. There's no need for the variance, but that's in the staff report, that there's no need for a variance, although it was published for that. However, the development agreement modification, we're under the same ability, we have the same ability to extend this or continue this to another date certain, just as you were doing for annexations. And I'd recommend that we do that based on your input tonight, because of the impact of development, just as an annexation would have.
So I'll make that motion that, and Rodney, I need your advice on date certain though. So is this one, as far as 6.5, we've had a lot of, they've done a lot of work on that one. So I would be, would like for that one to be moved up earlier than later, but is 6.21 okay as far as on the Sterling Commons?
This one, I would recommend that we move to 6:14 and
Okay.
that we add a city council meeting. This is, so in June, we will have a city council meeting on the first, second, and third Monday nights of the month.
Okay, so I will make a motion that that we move this to date certain of June 14th for the Sterling Commons application.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mucci,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Haverfield,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
and Brunner.
Yes.
So for clarity, I want to make sure between Rodney and legal that if we go through the process as it is, what we're hoping not to do is have to go to the expense of reposting for the public hearings. Are we clear in the way we're doing this so that we don't have to incur the costs
Madam Mayor.
to repost?
And Rodney, it was on the agenda tonight, so folks that are interested could come. Since it was on the agenda and you continued it on the agenda, you don't need to renotice.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. So for item 3, this is an annexation and zoning to RS4, single-family residential zoning for Sharps Orchard subdivision at 7928 Birch Lane for 32 single-family residential buildable lots and 4 common open lots for a gross density of 4.9 and a net density of 6.09. This is for Taylor Schmidt, representing Dennis Sharp. What is the will of the council?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to again continue this as well. And the date,
6/14.
14?
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Brunner,
Yes.
Yes.
Haverfield,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Machi, and Rodriguez.
Yes.
Item 6.4 on the agenda, this is annexation and zoning to RS6, single-family residential zoning district for Sunnyvale West subdivision at 0 West Flamingo Avenue. This is for 93 single-family residential buildable lots, 5 common lots, and 11 common. The first 5 common were storm drain and buffer lots, and the next group are 11 common open space lots for a gross density of 3.55 and net density of 5.75. This is for Providence Properties, representing Paul Mercer. This was continued from May 3. What is the will of the council? Is there a second? Seconded? Thank you. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Haverfield, yes.
Yes. I know most people have left, and I do apologize for the inconvenience, but it is what it is this evening, so thank you. Okay, item 6.5. This is a development agreement modification, a modification that was originally recorded for Lakebrook subdivision. And this is modifying the site plan, eliminating the proposed church to be replaced with additional single-family residential, the removal of narrow private streets and gated neighborhoods, revising the dimensional standards for Middlebury subdivision in an RS zoning district. This has a total of 334 buildable lots, 1 existing home and 36 common lots on 105.78 acres. And this is for Jane Suggs with Jim State representing Clinton Whistle. And this public hearing was continued from 3:15. So is there a motion to continue this?
So move to date certain 6/14?
Yes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Machi,
Yes.
Levi,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
and Haverfield.
Yes.
That is the conclusion of our public hearings. That is the fastest public hearing we've gone through. Thank you. I'm sorry you guys had to come tonight, but thank you very much. Thank you. No. This is absolutely not common. This is not typically the way it's done. Typically, they're heard the same night they're on the agenda and a decision is made. So this is very unusual. So. Feel free to contact your legislators. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so at this time, we're going to move back to the beginning of our agenda. And the next item on the agenda were agency reports, of which we had none. And following agency reports, we have staff communication, so we'll move to Tom Points. Yes.
We skipped the mayor and council comments.
Well, I'm sorry. We did them, but we just had the legislative update, and I forgot to come back, so please feel free. Did you have comments?
I did.
I'm sorry. Please feel free.
I just want to publicly thank, as the president of the board for Nampa Parade America that took place this last Saturday, I want to thank the board members. They are totally awesome, and they worked very diligently in a short time frame to put this together. I want to thank the city of Nampa, our streets department, and our police department. I want to especially thank our volunteers and the Nampa Exchange Club. Without them, we could not do this. It was really well received. We had almost as many entries. I think we lacked 2 from 2019. So we were very excited about that. But the other exciting thing was, as we were going down the parade route to watch how many people from our community gathered. And they gathered and they're wearing patriotic clothing, they've got flags, they're excited to be there. The energy was just totally infectious. But I just wanted to take a moment to publicly thank everyone who was involved behind the scenes, and then let you know, because my next project now is I'm working on the God and Country Festival, June 30th. So be looking forward to the next extension of our patriotism in our community.
Sandy, thank you so much for catching that, and I sincerely apologize. I was so focused on the legislative and the work of the day, I forgot to mention that, and I don't know how many people got to participate and see the parade, but we had a wonderful turnout. I tell you what, it's a small group of volunteers, that board, and the work that was done to put the parade on was outstanding, and it is a long-standing tradition in our community that's very, very important. I think it's been going 45 years, but only 44 parades because last year we skipped. Is that right? 54. So it's 44 is God and Country. Excuse me, it's the other one, so 54. Anyway, it's gone on a long time, and it was a wonderful parade. So Sandy, thank you so much.
Thank you. I just wanted to take that time to publicly thank everyone that worked behind the scenes.
Yeah. A lot of people that make it happen.
And Mayor, a big thanks to Councilwoman Levi for all your work and effort on that too. And the God and Country coming up. Appreciate that.
These particular events don't happen just by osmosis, right? It takes a lot of work and a lot of volunteers. So, thank you. Is there anything else I've forgotten before we move on? Okay, thank you.
Just Mayor, what are we going to do between now and 11 o'clock or something?
I think we have a few other things that we have to cover, but wouldn't it be nice to not be home at midnight? So at this time, we'll go to staff communications with Tom Points.
Evening, Mayor, Council. So I'm going to break the staff report into 3 pieces here. So I'll talk about Public Works Week, and then Jeff will come up and talk about seal coats, and then Daniel will talk about the project delivery. And if you have any other questions about the remainder of the items in the report, let me know and I can answer any questions. But just on Public Works Week, we got some events planned, so we're getting back to normal. We are going to have the school kids come over to the streets yard tomorrow morning, and the streets crew always has some displays showing what happens for plowing roads and cleaning pipes, and the water department has some pipes out there that show how the water works and hydrants work. So that'll be good. That's the Idaho Arts Charter students, so we're excited to have them over tomorrow. And then the next day, on Wednesday, is our picnic. We're getting back to normal and having our picnic at Lions Park, and you are all invited to attend. It is at 11:30 to 1 near the picnic shelter near Lincoln Pool. So please come on by and have a hamburger and hot dog and celebrate Public Works Week.
Did you say tomorrow?
That's Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Wednesday's a
okay.
picnic.
I'm sorry.
So Mayor,
Tomorrow
that's the
is
same as the chamber luncheon then too, right?
It is, and so I'm going to head out to Public Works first and then head to it's unfortunate, typically it doesn't cross over, but it did.
Yeah,
So
I guess we missed that, so sorry about that.
I know, I
Yeah.
just clarifying, so I think.
next year, maybe we'll have to do it on a Tuesday.
I think I said yes on both of them, but yeah. So, double lunch that day.
Yeah, so glad to have you if you can make it. And the other event is at the library. So during noon time during this week, where environmental compliance has set up a display talking about stormwater, and they have a little sleuth set up to the kids can take a look at in a video. So, yeah. So that's it for me. Unless there's questions.
I just want to say thank you. It is so awesome, the educational programming that you guys come up with and do, and to see what the kids are going to get to experience tomorrow is awesome. So please thank the entire team for that.
We will. We have a lot of fun with it. It's great. We look forward to it. And glad to be back.
I wish I could come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor and City Council would like to give a quick update on the streets chip seal program. It seems like it comes around faster every year. So we're starting up on June 1st this year. And just a quick summary of some of the things. This is what the map is that we use every year. We have 7 zones in the city. even 3 years ago, we didn't have any of the interior residential areas. So we've been growing every year, expanding the amount we're chip sealing. And this year, we've kept the same amount last year, which was about doubling the amount from the year before. I'm representing Don Barr, Superintendent Don Barr, and the crew today. So they do a fantastic job, and they put all this together along with Tiffany McCree from our department does all of the outreach now, which I think is just to a whole nother level. So these are the priorities for this year. These are some of the things we did to get the word out. You might get questions about chip seal as it comes up, but we did press release, social media, City of Nampa website. We have door hangers, direct mail, and then customer service lines. And then the crew creates big signs and they put them on the roads. They're going to be chip sealing, and so you can directly call off there too. So if you have any questions, certainly we can get back to folks. This is a look at the brochures we're sending out, which I think the quality is really good. They're clear. GIS does all the mapping, and then Tiffany puts it all together and worked with the mayor's department to get it out to the community. So this I want to just highlight one other thing. This map, as we grow, so we were at about $500,000 a year, maybe 5 years ago. So we went inching forward every year to increase the amount we chip seal. Right now, our budget for this year is like over $1 million. And so we're doing the best we can within the limited budget to crack seal the roads and to chip seal as much as we can. We got a long ways to go. So the crack seal is really saving our roads right now. A lot of people's roads haven't seen any work for years and years and years, but they're seeing some crack sealing on them. So with that, we got a long ways, but I think with the 33 crew we have people, they do a fantastic job. So do you have any questions on that?
Yes.
No, I don't have any questions, but over the last 4 days, I received 2 complaints about, one would be a fire hydrant in front of a gentleman's house that he can't park his trailer, back up his trailer, I should say. And that hydrant was there before the house was. Unfortunately, he's having trouble with that. So he called me and talked to me about it. Well, I referred him to Jeff and Tom, and Daniel Badger got back with him, and I think today Jeff and I talked again about that to figure out any alternatives that we can help him. And you know what? I'm just really proud of this group. Thank you, Dan and Jeff, and you know, I'll tell you what, it's great for me to tell these people we'll get back with you, and then it gets done. And so I like that. And then I got another phone call about the street condition south of Nampa, or South Nampa. And I didn't know what to tell this person because I don't know anything about streets. And so once we talked, and again, I sent an email to Don Barr and Jeff and Tom, and again, Jeff got on it, and you know what? It's just really cool. And I'm really proud that when someone calls, because they say, we always said we were never heard before and we're heard now. And that's just really special. Thank you, gentlemen, for all your work that you do for us.
Thanks, Councilman.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's so wonderful to hear those encouraging words, because it's been a message, and we've talked a lot about it as customer service. And I just have to say, I am so proud of our team. The guys, you know what? We've been talking about being good stewards, right? And then listening even to employees and the ideas they have great ideas. And so the fact that they are maximizing the dollars because they're really staying on top of how much chip to put down, right? And making sure they're not wasting, and they're making it go further, and extending the life of our streets. So we have a team that's doing amazing work, and then the getting back to people. So I want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you to your team. I tell you what, we are blessed. You know what? We're not perfect, but we have a good team. And they work hard, and I love the customer service approach. So thank you.
They sure do. Thank you.
Mayor, I honestly think our streets sets the standard for chip seal in the valley. So
Good for you.
product is streets. So.
Yes.
Jeff, quick question for you. As I look at the road, that section between Smith and Orchard, that's not a part of this project. Why is that section not included? And then the extensions west on Smith, Lone Star, and Roosevelt, stopping short of Midway, is Is that just to the boundary line of the city? Is that what those?
Yeah, so a couple, Councilman Haverfield, so what we took within the available budget, we had that. We looked at pavement condition index. And then a lot of the roads between the area you're talking about, they're past the point of, they're either failed or they're close to being failed. They need to be rebuilt. And so that is that area of streets in the city that's probably about $50 million worth of rebuilds that we just need to figure out that. And then another is that we're trying to keep the good, and we're staying in relatively close proximity for the machine to stay there. So there's a number of things that go into the selection process, but that's a few of them.
Yeah, I just know the questions that I've received, the answer wasn't satisfactory enough for them.
Yeah.
To state that.
Is it okay?
What's that?
Councilor Haverfield, just looking at the map on Smith, it goes west all the way to the city limits, so it doesn't extend past the city limits. Nampa Highway District takes over past that.
I know Midway Park is out off of Midway and Smith, which it's not in the city limits?
Not, yeah.
I was the comment was more on the extension of Middleton to Orchard and why that wasn't included. Because it's it's a half section there that unless it's already either deteriorated to the point where it has to be rebuilt or if it's in acceptable condition that it didn't need the chip seal.
Middleton, that is a rebuild section. That's a what? That stretch on Middleton between
Orchard and Smith.
Just south of Orchard.
That's the next asset zone, is that correct?
Well, I think he's seen the gap right there. You can see that Orchard, it appears, right, that the green line, and then there's that little gap right there.
We're looking if we want, or I can get back
That's
to you.
good. We can get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can just.
Awesome.
You bet, okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well. There we go. Mayor and Council, this is our second quarter project delivery report. The projects we're tracking this year, there are 19 major projects with a value of $24 million. For this particular quarter, year to date, we're at 61% designed, 52% awarded, and 41% constructed. That's fairly comparable with last year. We're a little farther ahead on the constructed side and a little farther behind on the awarded side. We've made some changes to a couple of our projects that are affecting timelines to do with some of our projects for the water line replacements that are more impactful to our residents. So last council meeting, you guys approved us to go out for request for qualifications from the contractors in an effort to get a bit more responsible contractors being able to bid. And so that is affecting some of our timelines on that and a sewer project that we're working on, just in an effort to try to have a little more responsive and better contractor on that for our citizens. That will potentially have some cost impacts, but we'll let you know when we actually get those bids and what contractors are willing to come in under those qualifications. So for our cost avoidance so far, we have around $330,000 split out over different projects that we've done.
Most of that is within our ability with the inspectors that we've hired. Our ability to be able to do in-house inspection saves the city quite a bit of money in those projects. There's the project team. We have a couple of new EITs that started in January, Daniel Trent and Jason Mumford. Really enjoying having them on and helping out with the workload, and would stand for any questions.
Mayor Kling. Daniel, where do we stand as far as on the water meter upgrades? Are we done?
The water meter upgrades, we are not fully complete throughout the entire city. Tom, do you know that one off the top of your head?
Yeah, Mayor, Council Haverfield, so we have one more fiscal year. So in the fiscal year 22, we added the budget to complete the water meters. And that was, so remember, we had it spread out over a much more lengthy time, and we put in 3 consecutive fiscal years and increased the budget. So fiscal year 22 is a plan.
So does that include the purchase of the meters still, or are they purchased?
Go ahead, you can get that one.
Mayor, Councilman Haverfield, we purchase meters annually. So at the start of this fiscal year, we did a large meter purchase. We are going out for our contract for meter purchases ended on December 31st of 20. And so we are going out for another procurement contract because the way that we do those meter contracts is that it's for a time duration, not for a specific quantity of them. And so we are working on getting that one out to the suppliers for a new meter contract. And then they would purchase as needed until the start of the fiscal year, and then we would do a large purchase for the zone replacements.
Do you anticipate there being a price increase for the meters?
I would anticipate that since we last bid them, that yes, we would see a price increase on the meters. Don't know what that will be at this point.
So the number that can be purchased, is there a limit or a cap on what dollars we have available for the purchase?
Mayor, Councilman Haverfield, there is in the budget, we budget a certain dollar for purchase of meters. And so that would be the cap based on the budget we are approving.
So Mayor, I don't know if we're considering cost savings, if we need to roll over to a 4th year or not.
Well, we're in the budget development process right now, and you'll see a budget ask for the next round of meters, which will be the last, which is currently in this budget cycle for 2022.
So Mayor, Councilman Haverfield, if I understood correctly, if our meter procurement, the cost of the meters goes up significantly enough that we cannot purchase all the needed meters to finish next year, we would bring that back before council and ask for your direction on whether to purchase from fund balance or some other source, or to wait for that 4th year to finish out the project.
That answers my question.
Yeah, it's a little preliminary right now because we're not there yet. So,
I just thought it was worth the question.
thank you very much. Appreciate that. Is that the end of the staff report? Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so now we're going to move into new business items, and the first item is an action item. This is the first reading of ordinance sections 12J. This has to do with the impact fee advisory committee. And so this replaces Title III, Chapter 7, Section 12J of the Nampa City Code to align Nampa City Code with the newly enacted state legislation regarding membership on our Impact Fee Advisory Committee. The ordinance provides for an effective date, summary publication, severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, resolutions, and orders. And we would ask for this to be passed under suspension of rules, and that the summary of publication also be approved with the ordinance. And let's go ahead and slowly, well, do you have to read the entire ordinance? Okay, why don't you read the title, and then I think I would like to open it for any questions. Is that an okay process? Okay, thank you.
An ordinance enacted by the Nampa City Council replacing Title III, Chapter 7, Section 12J of the Nampa City Code pertaining to the composition of membership for the Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee, providing for severability, and repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, and parts thereof in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So the changes to the ordinance from the last meeting were to reflect the will of the council, which was not to have an even number, but to have the flexibility of either a 5 or 7 member Impact Fee Advisory Committee following, so it has been drafted according to the state statute. And then it gives us the ability to have a larger number of citizens over developers or someone in the industry. And Todd from legal, do you have any comments on this particular piece?
Madam Mayor and council members, no, I think you covered it. It's actually a little simpler version. It gives you the flexibility. It simply says that you have a majority in the real estate or development industry. And then allows you, as you said, to pick between 5 or 7.
Thank you. Okay. Are there, if there are no questions, I would stand for a motion to approve the ordinance.
Mayor,
Yes.
thank you. A couple questions for legal, if you would, please. On your Roman numeral small one there, where it's listing the occupations. I've been doing a little bit of research, and some of our title companies, they have real estate licenses, and some of them don't. And my concern when I was making my comments last time and for over the last 5.5 years has been that having people on these committees that are directly profiting by these decisions. And so with that in the background about the title, should title companies be listed on there, or because some of them do have real estate license, is that just trivial?
Madam Mayor and Councilmember Levi, essentially you mirrored the language in the state statute, which talks about being in the business of real estate. I think you have the ability to consider individual applications within that area of business under real estate and whether you think that's appropriate or not. So I don't know that you need to exclude it, but if you have someone from a title industry that you feel like maybe they aren't the right choice and somebody else from a real estate profession would be appropriate, I think you can handle that individually.
Todd, I might have you move your mic just a little closer.
Sorry, I'm so used to this one picking me up and screaming.
I know.
So I don't know if you heard me, I'll answer that again. This mirrors the state statute, and it talks about being in the business of real estate. So I think it's up to you, to a certain degree, to determine what the scope of the business of real estate is, and then to determine among those that potentially could be appointed whether they're a good fit. So I think you can evaluate a particular candidate that's in that industry, and if you feel like there's too much of a conflict based on their position, you don't have to appoint them.
Thank you. And with that, Mayor, I will go ahead and move that we accept the first reading of the ordinance of sections 12J that replaces Title III, Chapter 7, Section 12J of the Nampa City Code to align Nampa City Code with the newly enacted state legislation regarding the Impact Fee Advisory Committee, and to pass it under suspension of rules.
And authorize a summary of publication.
And authorize, yes.
You did great. Thank you. That's a lot. Thank you. So it's been moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Budge?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Bruner?
Yes.
And Levi?
Yes.
Thank you. And the next item on the agenda, and the next two items are similar to the first. This is going to be the first reading of ordinance amending Title V, Chapter 12 of Nampa City Code, clarifying the alcohol code. And we're also going to ask that this be passed under suspension of rules and with a summary of publication. So I think, Rick, I would like you to go ahead and come up and just very briefly explain what that change is that has taken place.
Very good. Thanks, Mayor, Council. We have met several times now as the Alcohol Review Committee. We continue to review the existing ordinance and offer suggestions that would help us do our job and help you do your job on this. The proposed edits to the ordinance. It'll just take a minute to summarize the main changes. One is to add a range of points for each violation. So you'll recall on one of the appeals, I think it was regarding 4T Sports Bar, you reduced the point violation. I think it was a 3.5. You reduced it to 1 point in the motion. And after that, I asked Joe Borton, who was working on that, say, hey, we probably would have done something similar, but it was just, here's the violation, this is the points, and there wasn't really a range to exercise discretion based on mitigating circumstances. And so hopefully this would help all parties to look at circumstances. And so you'll notice that there's a range. Secondly, there's this is really significant, there's an addition of a potential infraction, and that's a site-specific DUI, that's number 18. This was something contemplated quite a bit. There are certainly challenges if the DUI is quite off-site quite a bit, but you'll see that the scope of this is to allow police, when it's clear that they pull someone over and it's very site-specific and they've left, that there's points that can be assessed to a site-specific DUI. And really the only other changes are just some housekeeping edits and some changes on page 5 and 6, really to create some sideboards on the appeals process itself to specify how much time they have and some other housekeeping issues. So that's really kind of those are really the changes that are before you in the ordinance. So I appreciate your consideration of it as we try to do our job to review the incident reports that come in and help make sure that we reflect the spirit of the council on these issues.
Rick, thank you. Are
Yep.
there any questions for Rick? Okay, I really appreciate your involvement. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion?
Mayor?
Yes.
I move that we approve the ordinance amending Title V, Chapter 12 of the Nampa City Code, clarifying the alcohol code under suspension of rules, and to authorize summary of publication for preceding ordinance.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Mayor Kling, I just want to make sure, I don't remember him reading the ordinance.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
You're absolutely right. Thank
I'm
you.
not going to vote.
Well, how about if we pause and then we'll restate the motion? Cindy, you were on it, and thank you, and I missed it, so.
I got ahead of it.
We're good. Thank you.
An ordinance enacted by the Nampa City Council amending Title 5, 1217 to Title 5, Chapter 12 of the Nampa City Code, amending the point-based system for the potential suspension, revocation, or denial of alcohol licenses, amending the hearing and appeal procedures, providing for an effective date, providing for severability, and repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, and parts thereof in conflict herewith.
Thank you. Would you like to stand by your first motion?
Yes, ma'am. Do I need to repeat it?
Does she need to repeat her first motion? Yes.
If you would.
Was that a yes? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Please.
Yes.
Excuse me. Mayor, I would move that we approve the ordinance amending Title V, Chapter 12 of Nampa City Code, clarifying the alcohol code, and pass it under suspension of rules, and give authorization to do the publication for preceding ordinances.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Brunner?
I vote yes again.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Mucci?
Yes.
And Levi?
Yes.
Thank you for that catch, Randy. I appreciate that. Councilman Haverfield, I should say.
So I'm here.
I know, thank you. Okay, item 5.5 is an action item. This is to authorize the mayor and the Public Works Director to sign a task order amendment with Keller Associates to provide survey, design, and bidding services for the annual irrigation replacement FY22 project in the amount of $59,380, time and materials not to exceed, and this is approved in the FY21 budget.
So move.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Mucci?
Yes.
And Brunner?
Yes.
Item 5.6 on the agenda is an action item to authorize the mayor to sign a registration service agreement between the City of Nampa and Canyon County for a youth canoe camp. This has been reviewed and approved by legal counsel. Would you like Darren or would you like a presentation on this, or?
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I was waiting for him to get up, and then we'd say no.
What's the second?
Mayor?
Yes.
I just have a question about this. There's not a lot of fees that are going to be generated from this. Is there a threshold where you have to have council and commissioner consideration and documents?
For this?
There is?
No, I'm sorry, for this, because you're wondering why this is needing authorization.
Potentially 14 registrants?
Go ahead.
Mayor, we asked that question. I suggested council address and sign this one because the county commissioners were signing it on the other side, just so we have consistent bodies executing the agreement.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Machi?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Brunner?
Yes.
Darren, I would like to say thank you guys for working with the county and providing the service. I love that. So, and that's exactly what we need to do. So, Carrie, thank you for your work. Appreciate what you do, and thank you guys. Thank you. Item 5.7 is an action item. This is to authorize the mayor to sign the memorandum of understanding with the Nampa Business Improvement District. And Beth, thank you for coming up.
Mayor and Council, we have typically had an MOU with the Downtown Business Improvement District. This year it is a bit different. We separated out the finances for the BID from the city system. So as long as I know of, the city has held the BID billing process in the city's financial system. Obviously, with moving to Tyler, just some of that process was a little bit clumsier than what we had had previously. And in terms of being able to get information really timely and accurately and giving the BID more opportunity to really kind of take more control over their finances, we worked with them to shift that financial management out of the city system and into Growth Zone. Growth Zone is the same platform that the Nampa Chamber is using for their membership administration. It's really designed for these types of organizations. And so Jay Snyder in our office has worked with the BID and the Growth Zone folks to get everything up and rolling. So this last April, I guess, is the first time we were able to run bills through Growth Zone. And so we've started that implementation while we've been working through the exact language on the MOU piece. So now we have before you this MOU that does include that transition to Growth Zone and a fee for service. So this is also the first time we've charged the BID for any of this service that we've provided, and we're basically charging the same cost as what it will actually cost us to have the software and to be able to move forward with that. So they will reimburse us back on a quarterly basis for that, and then the rest of the agreement is really close to what you've seen in the past. We had some back and forth a little bit on the indemnification language, but Joe Wharton from the city's legal counsel worked with us to finalize that language with the BID, and so stand before you for any questions.
Mayor, so the BID has the ability to pay?
Yes.
They haven't been paying for this, so in the future, there's no doubt in your mind that they can cover this.
Yes, they have a strong board in place, and they've identified within their financials that this is a priority and where they will dedicate funding.
Mayor?
Yes.
Beth, did they have to raise their assessment?
Mayor, Council, no, they have not.
And then a follow-up question, if I might. So are the majority of the merchants downtown in favor of the BID?
Mayor and Council, I don't know that they've done necessarily a survey of, are you happy with what's going on or not? But I can say in Jay's interaction with the downtown, and part of getting the bills out in this first round has taken us a little bit longer because Jay's been trying to hand deliver many of them. One of the other new aspects is that people can pay with a credit card. They can pay online. They can set up for automatic payment. So it's much more kind of user-friendly than what we were able to provide them through the city system. So he's been having one-on-one conversations. There's about 200 businesses within the BID. So he is definitely in the doors of all of them at some point over a quarter.
I'm glad to hear that they're being kind of hand-delivered, or it's going to be easier, because I know in the past I've heard from businesses, we didn't see anything, we didn't get anything, we didn't get the email, so this is very good, thank you.
And with that, I'll add, we're checking and making sure that we have accurate email addresses for everyone. And we have started doing a monthly newsletter that goes out. So our office supports that effort in conjunction with the BID. So it's kind of a monthly newsletter that encapsulates the Main Street program that Jay is running, any city updates, as well as an opportunity for the BID to put their updates in there. So it's kind of a 3-organization newsletter that's going out monthly.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Beth, is it your office that's, that this is going through then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So there's an oversight there that obviously you're providing.
That is the service that Jay Snyder, and then underneath Beth's leadership. I will say, Beth, you've done a phenomenal job. And for the council, I am really pleased to see where our BID board is. It's operating, it's functional, we have great people leading. This going to growth zone, something that I know I've encouraged for years, and I'm so excited to see that they're actually doing it. And then, fortunately or unfortunately, our Tyler system was not working for them. And we couldn't provide the information that we needed. So I am just so incredibly thrilled that we are actually doing this, and that we've worked with the MOU, but that the billing's going to be coming out of growth zone. The functionality is exactly what they needed for downtown. And so this is a really good move. And we have amazing people, as you know. The revitalization of downtown, we have a lot of people talking about, well, look what Caldwell's doing. What's Nampa doing? And you know what? The BID is doing a good job. You don't turn a ship on a dime. And we have a number of property owners that own their buildings. We don't own them. The city doesn't. And it's the way it should be, but you can't necessarily make them do what you want them to do. And so, but this is a good move. And Beth, thank you for your work. So I'm really pleased. Yes.
Where does the horse mural fall?
I'll let Beth speak to that.
Mayor and council, it is privately owned. It was put up privately. The city actually partnered with a former building owner probably 8 years ago. And we actually used some of our electric franchise fee that was dedicated for downtown redevelopment efforts to kind of redo it. But as you noticed, it needs it again. And the current property owner does not anticipate keeping it. We've encouraged them, if they don't want to keep it, to take it down sooner than later because of the state that it's in. But the current property owner is looking at doing residential on the second floor, in which they would open up some windows there, as opposed to having the horse mural piece, and would redo that whole facade of the building. So we're just waiting for them to move forward.
Good question. All right, if there are no further questions, I would stand for a motion.
Mayor Kling?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to allow you to sign the memorandum of understanding with the BID for the financial processing through growth zone.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call?
Brunner?
Yes.
Munchy?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer? Rodriguez?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
5.8 on the agenda is an action item to authorize the engineering division to proceed with the scope of work negotiations with Keller and Associates for the domestic water and pressure irrigation master plans, and Murray Smith and Associates for the sewer collection master plan. The detail was in your packet today. This is approved in the FY21 budget. Do you have questions, or?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Munchy?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer? Rodriguez?
Yes.
And Brunner?
Yes.
Item 5.9 is also an action item authorizing the engineering staff to proceed with negotiations for right-of-way acquisition for the for the Idaho Center Boulevard and Cherry Lane intersection improvement project, and authorize the mayor to sign the right-of-way acquisition contracts up to the estimated amount of $1,450,000.
Mayor, I do have a question on this one.
Okay.
It's Daniel.
And Daniel, has the council met Scott? They have, okay. So who works on the acquisition, so I just thought I'd mention that.
Mayor, Councilman Brunner, we do have on the agenda a executive session, so depending on what your question is.
Okay, well,
it
if we're
may-
doing an executive session, I don't need to take the time now.
The executive session there is to answer questions you may have. It's not required. So if you want to ask your question, we can see if it's something we can address outside of that or not.
I'm just, overall, the window of timeline, we're looking for to actually have this happen. I mean, we're out there, you know, buying properties and so on, but, or at least investigating that, so.
Mayor, Councilman Brunner, our hope would be that we did the initial irrigation crossings project this winter. And so our hope would be that we would be under construction and bidding this project out this summer or fall to complete the entire project.
Okay, that's a lot sooner than I thought it was going to happen, so. Good news. All right, thanks.
Is there any other discussion or questions?
Just for clarification, it is just for that one intersection that we're looking at.
Mayor, Councilman Haverfield, yes, this is for this one intersection alone.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Would there be a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Machi?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Bauer? Brunner?
Yes.
And Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay. At this time, we're going to move to unfinished business. The first item is item 7.1. This is an action item to authorize the mayor to sign an e-scooter license agreement with Bird Rides to operate e-scooters in the city of Nampa. Jeff, thank you for providing an update.
Thanks, Mayor and City Council. So on April 19th, 2021, the City Council authorized us to prepare a license agreement and to come back for discussion and potentially authorization to move forward. So that's what this topic is about tonight. We discussed at the last meeting, this prior meeting, scooters, and you had a number of questions. We've gathered more information since then, and so you'll see in your write-up that we've heard from the downtown businesses based on a survey, and it's about 50-50 split there. Just over 33 people, I think there are over 30 people were part of that survey. The Nampa Business Improvement District comments, one of the things I want to highlight is that they say that they should not be in the wheels up zone, which is going to be a common theme that we're hearing in the wheels up zone, is that they can't be on the sidewalk basically in the downtown zone. Our police department contacted the Boise Police Department, and there's a list of issues there that they, Boise's had a tremendous success with scooters. I think they had 600,000 trips on scooters. So they're in a different, their downtown is different than ours, and it's a different situation. But it was good to get input, and so some of those are provided as a list. And then the Nampa Police Department provides recommendations and comments, and this is on 3 of 3, and then the city legal options. I do want to add a couple more that we received just this week that were not in the packet, so I want to read those and add those to the record. So one is from the Nampa Bike and Pedestrian Committee, and Christy, if you have anything to add, please do. So, scooters and bikes and rollerblades are not allowed on the sidewalks in the downtown district per current city code. The Nampa Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee has written code changes that have not yet been adopted that would disallow e-scooters specifically to ride in the street. And so the proposed code changes are with the city attorney for the review. At this time, the Nampa Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee met on Thursday, May 13th, and agreed to write a memo in support of the above listed items. They feel that Nampa as a whole is not ready for e-scooters at this time, and it would be dangerous to allow them in the streets downtown due to the nature of the angled parking, vision issues, and possible speeds. That's from our Bike and Pedestrian Committee. And then also, I just want to add another comment from our police department. One, they like the notification riders would get not to be on the downtown sidewalks, and that's through that geo, if you remember that geo fencing, and then alerts given before they would ride the scooters. This will help with enforcement. Riders could claim not to know that, though. Code enforcement or community service officers would have to deal with the scooters being left, laying in poor locations or blocking sidewalk access. Boise, for instance, will impound scooters when they aren't picked up in the specified time period, which I think is covered in the contract also, and it is. So we had a few more comments from the police. I'll say generally, the police, and they can respond to this, but they feel like a pause is necessary and more research. So we have, those are a couple additional comments. And then Michael Cavato is on from Bird Scooters tonight if we have additional questions. And I'll tell you what, Michael's been fantastic. He knows his stuff. They work to address issues in the community, so I've been very impressed with them. So however it goes tonight, really appreciate working with him in the last few weeks. So, and he's available for any
Mayor, I'm going
questions.
to make this simple at this point in time, and I believe this totally, and I know they're working in Boise to a certain extent and so on. I also believe Nampa is not ready for that, so I will deny this, you mayor, to authorize this agreement at this point in time.
So was that a motion? It was a motion. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
Mayor, I just need to make it for the record that I'm abstaining from the vote, which unfortunately removes me from any discussion or asking questions, but believe me, I have an opinion. So I will not be voting. Because I was not in attendance at the meeting, excuse me.
Okay, at the meeting where it was discussed. Okay.
Okay. Mayor,
Yes.
I was in favor at the first meeting, but I'm concerned to hear that both the bike ped committee and then also the police officers think we should pause. Our police are already responding or not being able to respond to a number of things based on staffing levels. I think adding to this volume, the volume of calls they have right now with this may not be wise right now. Although I do like them.
Is there any further discussion? Yes.
So what's your personal opinion? I know you.
So I've seen the benefit of scooters in other places that surprised me. When I talked to Boise, it surprised me. So we've talked to staff, and you never know till you try something how much they will get used. So that's the pro of it. The con for me is that our downtown is, we have the narrow sidewalks, we have the wheels up zone. I would say as we improve our downtown, or have maybe more of a defined strategy, that would be helpful.
I guess my comment is I'm still for it. Some of the people I talk to think it's a great idea. It'd help business, would bring revenue to our businesses downtown. Police officers I talked to in Boise thought it wasn't that big of a deal. I talked to multiple police officers that I treat on a weekly basis, and they all thought the businesses down there liked it because it brought people to downtown. So still think it's a good idea. Somebody's got to think outside the box, and never know if we try it and it doesn't work out, could we
Yeah,
cancel it?
Councilman, I've got to respond to that. So yeah, in the agreement, it says within 30 days notice, we can cancel it. So this is a year contract. It's really a test. And so if you determine to go forward with it and we want to cancel it, then that can be done within a 30-day period.
Sure, you can hear from Brad Daniels.
No, he was waiting. I could see.
I was waiting, but I was hoping you couldn't see me. Mayor and council, the police department really has probably more of a neutral stance on this. We don't object to it. We just really have some strong concerns about the layout of our downtown versus the layout of other downtowns. It's not okay for them to be on the sidewalk, and if you're not on the sidewalk, you're riding behind angled parking that requires vehicles to be pulled into the curb line, which means everybody's backing up, and it creates additional hazard. And I think one of our concerns, and Councilwoman, you mentioned that just a minute ago, is we simply struggle with responding to all the calls we already have. And while we don't, again, object to the program itself, we will do whatever it is you ask of us. We're finding it difficult to get to where we need to be already, and this will, in our opinion, create some additional response in the initial phase until our public is trained. And I think if we had a different layout of parking downtown with parallel parking versus angled parking, we would probably be much more supportive. Just for us, where this is our test zone, it's a very difficult location for that. And so, again, we're not formally objecting to it, but those are our concerns, and we see some real issues for us and even some travelers, so.
Mayor Kling.
Yes.
Brad, we've seen more and more skateboards that are motorized, and they like to be on smooth surfaces, not in the streets themselves. So from what you've just said, it's against our ordinance for them to be on the sidewalks. So that's good. I'm glad that's the case. My concern, as you've stated it, is the visibility of these people, the scooters, people on skateboards. Nampa's not downtown Boise with the parking structures that they have and the parallel parking. We have the diagonal parking and a lack of parking structures. So I concur with your thoughts, and I can't support this tonight. So thank you. Appreciate your words.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for staff? Is there any further discussion? So we've had a motion to deny.
Second.
It's been seconded. If there's no further discussion, roll call.
Rodriguez?
No.
Bocci?
No for now.
Mayor Kling, for clarity,
Clarification on the motion, is a yes or a no?
Oh, yes, for now on the denial, sorry.
So the motion was to deny, and it was seconded.
That was a no.
Oh, I'm sorry. So did you vote incorrectly? So you were a no because you want to approve it.
Right.
You are disagreeing with the motion to deny.
That's correct.
Thanks.
I'm staying with Jacob on this one.
Okay. Okay. So, yes, the motion is to deny, and so you were a no. Okay.
Rodriguez, no. Bocci?
Yes for now.
Levi. Haverfield?
yes.
Bauer?
No.
And Bruner?
Yes.
So I believe that's a 3-2.
Yeah.
Is that correct? 3 yeses and 2 denies?
3 yeses and 2 noes.
So with 3 yeses, the motion passes, which is to deny the signing the license agreement with Bird Scooters at this time. So I just want to say to Michael, you've done a great job. You've been excellent to work with. I don't know that this is no forever. I think it has to do with where we are as a city today. But we look forward to possibly re-engaging you in the future.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do think we have some solutions to address the concerns that both the Chief of Police and the Bike and Pedestrian Committee raised. Hopefully we do get a chance to address them later on.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
My pleasure. Hope you have a great evening.
You too. The next, thank you. The next item on the agenda is 7.2. It's an action item. This is the first reading of ordinance for a zoning map amendment to residential professional from residential professional to limited multifamily residential at 821 and 823, 827 and 29 17th Avenue South. This is for a division of 2 duplex lots for a total of 4 units for Joshua Morrison. And it is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, to provide an RML zone designation for certain lands commonly known as 821, 823, 827, and 829 17th Avenue South, Nampa, Idaho, comprising approximately 0.32 acres, more or less, determining that said zoning is in the best interest of the citizens and consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, rezoning said property from RP to RML, providing for recordation, instructing the city engineer to designate said property as RML on the official zoning map and other area maps of the city, subject to any conditions imposed by the city council, and directing the city engineer to alter the use and area map accordingly, providing for an effective date and repealing all ordinances, rules, and regulations and parts thereof in conflict herewith.
Mayor Kling, I'll make the motion to pass the preceding ordinance as written and presented to us under suspension of rules.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Machi?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer? Brunner?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Item 7.3 is an action item, and this is the first reading of correcting ordinance 4489 for annexation and zoning at 1111 East Iowa Avenue.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, determining that certain lands commonly known as 111 East Iowa Avenue, Nampa, Idaho, comprising approximately 0.34 acres, more or less, like contiguous to the limits of the City of Nampa, Canyon County, State of Idaho, and that said lands should be annexed into the City of Nampa and zoned RD zone, declaring said lands by proper legal description as described below to be part of the City of Nampa, Canyon County, Idaho, and directing the city engineer and planning and zoning director to add said properties to the official maps of the City of Nampa, Idaho, repealing all ordinances, resolutions, orders, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, providing an effective date, and directing the clerk of the City of Nampa to file a certified copy of the ordinance, a map of the area to be annexed with Canyon County, State of Idaho, and the Idaho State Tax Commission pursuant to Idaho Code Section 63215.
Can we clarify that it says 1111 East Iowa Avenue?
That's what I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
Mayor, pass as read under suspension of rules, the ordinance.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Machi?
Yes.
Levi?
Yes.
Bauer? Haverfield?
Yes.
And Brunner?
Yes.
Section 8 are pending ordinances. And Christy, I think I'll just mention and have you maybe follow up. I noticed that several of these are back from a year ago. And I might just have you guys provide me with an update later as to why they're pending for a full year. You may have that answer right now.
Mayor and council. Yeah, so we do have a spreadsheet where we keep all of these, and we make regular contact with these applicants. So some of them are based on layout and design, architect availability, development agreements that need to be completed through their legal process and those kinds of things. And so the two, I believe, that are right there at the first are for that reason specifically, and it's just taken their legal team a long time to get their development agreement put together. So sometimes there's a lot of different things that play into annexations. Sometimes we've got right-of-way complications that we have to get worked out. And so we can't complete the reading of the ordinance until all of those items have been completed, because that kind of keeps them moving forward. If we go ahead and read the annexation ordinance, then sometimes there's no teeth to get those other things completed.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I appreciate that because I was looking at it going, we've got a few that are getting old on there. So
Oh, we know.
it takes extra work, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that update. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So the next section of the agenda is actually an executive session. So I would ask for a motion to adjourn. And before we do that, I just want to say this has got to be a record. This is the earliest we've gotten out of a regular agenda for a very, very long time. And as we adjourn into executive session, we don't make any decisions in an executive session, but we will be coming back, but we will anticipate you all to be